All right. Welcome everyone to Mentor Musings. I'm joined as always by my co-host, friend, and fellow startup mentor, Brett. And we're excited to welcome you to the inaugural episode of Mentor Musings. I promise we're going to go through a couple line items today, but the rest of these are going to be very informal, very conversational. But we just wanted to welcome you to the series, tell you a little bit about what our plans are, tell you a little bit about why we're here. So Brett, thank you for joining me, and thanks everybody for tuning in.
Hey, no, thanks, JC. It's great to finally get this off the ground. We've been talking about it for a while, and yeah, no, I'm super excited about this concept. You're going to get into it a little bit, but intentionally making this more casual and conversational, and just sharing what we've been hearing and learning. And so yeah, I'm excited we finally get to kick this thing off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so for everybody, a little bit of the genesis story of how Brett and I got connected and came up with this whole idea of the Mentor Musings platform. Brett and I were invited to sit on a fundraising panel for startups last year. And there were some great mentors and great startup aficionados who joined us. But I think Brett and I both heard each other give our perspectives on the topic of fundraising and realized, wow, these are two independent thinkers, right? They don't approach startups and fundraising or thinking about the entrepreneurial ecosystem maybe the same way that a lot of other people do. So we connected afterwards and started chatting, and we realized a couple things. Number one, we meet with a lot of founders. I'd say, Brett, between the two of us, we each meet with maybe a dozen or more founders each and every single week in one form or another.
Easily.
Yeah. And so we had some awesome stories. I mean, some great stories of successes and challenges, of insights that we've been able to generate. But more importantly, we started sharing tips and ideas on what we're telling and instructing founders to do and how that's impacting their business, either positively or from a challenging negative standpoint. And so we thought, well, these conversations are great, but they're only great for us and the individual startups that we talk to. What if we set up a camera and just kind of have the same conversations that we were having before, and hopefully others will get value out of it. So the idea was just to create Mentor Musings as a more scalable way to share this great conversation happening between two really busy and uniquely kind of optic startup mentors.
Yeah, no, I think that's well said. And we even look back and said, we wish we would have recorded some of our conversations. But, I think to your point, what's going to be a little bit different about this is, I joke that, we're part of the resistance. And when I say the resistance, it's just thinking about growth differently. And the pandemic has helped drive that wedge into how companies are going to grow. And so I think there's a lot of folks that are still stuck in traditional siloed. We won't get too deep into that, but what's really helped me the last couple of years is getting involved with the startups. And, I do have a podcast where I've talked to founders and subject matter. It's really opened my eyes and mind to a different way to approach, the growth. And I think that's what all founders are looking for, right? Is how do I grow my business? And so with that, you and I connected and had a really good conversation. And, I already learned something the last, couple times we talked. So when you threw the idea of, hey, maybe we just get together once a week, talk about it weekend and say, hey, what did we learn this week? Anything interesting? I love that idea. So hopefully the audience will as well. If not, we're going to continue to collaborate and grow, but get value out of this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Regardless of the number of views or subscribers, we're going to keep talking. And so, it's interesting, Brett, what you mentioned about the unique perspective that we have and kind of the learning from each other. We're going to cover on these episodes a lot of different themes and topics. And each week we may have a central theme that we focus on, maybe something that we both shared in our experience in helping entrepreneurs and founders along their path, or it could just be kind of an open agenda. But, I know our particular backgrounds, which we won't get into today, but, tend to focus for you deeply on the B2B and business development side. For me, it's more on the technology and fundraising side. But what's interesting about that is I think even just in those specific areas, we have such a unique approach. You advocate the idea of building a business development process beyond a Rolodex, right? Which a lot of founders, especially in B2B, tend to do. I'm a technologist who tends to recommend that startups don't kneel at the altar of technology, right? And so I think just in those two subject areas, but really all that we're going to be able to cover as mentors, I think people are going to find it at least uniquely refreshing and hopefully impactful to the business that they're building.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a great point. And I still leverage the first time we talked, you talked about tech enabled, and I use that probably almost on a daily basis when I talk about businesses and how people should be thinking about it. So yeah, no, I'm super excited about this. And as we get going, if there's specific topics people want us to chat about or dive into, we're more than happy to do that as well. But I think initially we're just gonna, on a weekly basis. And we want to keep this, relevant and current, right? So maybe there's certain things, for an example, one of the last times we talked, or actually it was on the podcast, when you're on the podcast, you talked about the number of new startups in Q3 is 1.24 million, which was an all-time high. And I'm paraphrasing that number, but I mean, it was super interesting. I think we'll go deeper into those areas and why we think now is the best time to start a business and, all those good things that I think are top of mind for a lot of folks.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and so with that, you're talking about a lot of folks. We want this series, this platform to really be focused on entrepreneurs at all stages, pre-seed, post-seed, whether you're in the aspirational stage, you're in a build stage, or you're in a grow stage, but also for fellow mentors, right? For others who want to join the resistance, as Brett mentioned, right? For people who want to approach how they're helping their startup founders, either as an investor, an advisor, a service provider, a consultant, a coach, whatever. If they want to kind of join in on getting insights that we have or sharing insights that they have. So this is a platform for the entire startup community, regardless of your role or position. Yes, we're going to focus mostly on giving insight for founders, but we wanted to include everyone in the whole ecosystem. So we're excited for what lies ahead. There's going to be a lot more new developments. We're going to be on multiple platforms, obviously starting here on YouTube. So if you're joining us, subscribe, like, comment, do all of the great stuff that you're supposed to do. We're going to share our profile so you can engage with Brett and I on social media. We're very accessible. If you want to connect with us on open office hours or give us topics to talk about on the next episode, or tell us that you think this is a complete waste of time, that I need to shave this beard. So we're excited to have everyone join us, and I'll give the last words to Brett here before we wrap up.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm super excited about this. I think it's going to resonate with folks. I hope it resonates. I shouldn't say we wouldn't do it if we didn't think it would, but quite honestly, it just comes back to the conversations that we had and said, man, that would have been good to record this, because then I could go back and actually re-listen to what we talked about. So no, I think it's going to give people a fresh perspective. We're not coming at it with, the textbook approach. I'm a big fan of the no hack approach, to growth, right? Let's focus on the fundamentals. How do we do this? Efficiency, and again, tech enabled. So I think it's, like I said, we've had some good conversations. We've got some other folks in the network we'll probably bring in to share some perspectives as we go. But yeah, this is really for you, the audience, as we get going. If there's things you want us to focus on, please let us know. We are accessible, to JC's point, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you want to find us, we're happy to engage.
Absolutely, Brett. Well, I know above all else, Brett and I have a tremendous respect for entrepreneurs, their journey that they're on, and their time. So we're going to do our very best to keep these episodes as short and concise and impactful as possible. So with that, everyone, welcome to Mentor Musings. Thank you for your interest, for your support. Brett, I look forward to seeing you on our first official episode next week.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Cheers.